Welcome to Whispers After Midnight!
Today, we dive into the incredible story of Samuel Carter, the remarkably intelligent black boy of 1859, whose mind baffled scientists and scholars alike. Before we begin, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe so you won't miss our deep dives into stories painstakingly researched from true historical records. Every detail we share is based on actual accounts and careful investigation, making this journey through history as accurate as it is fascinating. From the moment Samuel Carter was born in 1859, there were whispers in his small town about something extraordinary. He was born into a humble African-American family in a period when opportunities for black children were extremely limited due to the harsh realities of pre-Civil War America. His parents, though not formally educated, were keen observers of the world and nurtured a sense of curiosity in their children. Samuel was the youngest of 4 siblings, but even as a toddler, he displayed a remarkable awareness of his surroundings. Unlike other children who struggled to understand basic concepts, Samuel seemed to grasp them almost instinctively. By the age of 3, he could recognize patterns in numbers and letters, often correcting adults in his household when they miscounted or mispronounced words. His father, a hard-working man, would often bring Samuel along to his small trades and errands, unknowingly giving the boy a chance to observe problem-solving in real-life situations. Meanwhile, his mother encouraged reading, storytelling, and questioning, skills that would become central to Samuel's intellectual development. Neighbors began to take notice as well. While other children played typical games, Samuel would often sit quietly, absorbed in observing mechanical devices or experimenting with small objects, trying to understand how they worked. His early childhood was marked not only by his natural brilliance, but also by the rare combination of a nurturing environment, curiosity, and sheer determination. Even in these formative years, Samuel Carter's mind was already hinting at the extraordinary capacity that would later leave scientists and scholars utterly baffled. From an incredibly young age, Samuel Carter displayed signs of intelligence that went far beyond what anyone in his community could imagine. Even before he entered formal schooling, people began to notice that Samuel didn't just learn, he absorbed knowledge in a way that seemed almost unnatural. By the age of 4, he could read simple sentences and already had a curiosity for the meaning behind words, often asking questions that left adults scratching their heads. Samuel's talents weren't limited to reading. He displayed a keen understanding of numbers and patterns, often solving small arithmetic problems mentally while other children struggled to count on their fingers. Local neighbors recalled seeing him arrange and categorize household objects in ways that revealed a systematic, logical mind, a skill far ahead of a typical child his age. Unlike many children who learn by repetition, Samuel seemed to intuitively understand concepts after only seeing them once. What truly caught people off guard were his observations of the natural world. Samuel would ask questions about why certain plants grew in one direction, how the stars moved in the night sky, or why water flowed the way it did. Questions that reflected a deep analytical mind. Adults tried to answer him with simple explanations, yet he would often challenge them, proposing ideas that suggested he could see patterns and possibilities beyond ordinary understanding. Even teachers, who were initially skeptical, began documenting his abilities. They noticed Samuel could recall lessons with perfect accuracy and apply them creatively to solve problems no one expected a child of his age to handle. These early signs of extraordinary intelligence were just the beginning. setting the stage for a mind that would soon defy conventional understanding and astonish even the most learned scholars of the era. As Samuel Carter grew, his extraordinary intelligence became impossible to ignore. What truly set him apart wasn't just his ability to memorize or learn quickly. It was the way he approached problems, often solving complex questions that left even adults completely baffled. People in his community began bringing him puzzles, simple mechanical issues, and practical problems just to see how his mind worked. One remarkable example was a local tradesman who had a mechanical contraption that kept malfunctioning. Samuel, only around 6 or 7 at the time, observed the machine quietly for a few minutes, asking pointed questions about how each part worked. Within moments, he identified the flaw and suggested a solution. The tradesman, a grown man with years of experience, could hardly believe that a child had correctly diagnosed the problem and explained a fix in a way that was technically accurate. But his abilities weren't limited to mechanical puzzles. Samuel could tackle mathematical and logical problems far beyond the expectations for his age, while other children were learning basic addition and subtraction. Samuel could solve advanced arithmetic in his head and even predict patterns in sequences that stumped his teachers. He displayed an uncanny ability to connect seemingly unrelated pieces of information, a skill that allowed him to approach challenges creatively, rather than relying solely on rote memorization. Even in social situations, Samuel demonstrated problem-solving that seemed years ahead of his peers. When disagreements arose among children or adults, he often proposed fair, rational solutions that reflected a depth of reasoning unusual for anyone, let alone a child. His reputation for solving the unsolvable spread quickly, attracting the attention of local educators and curious scholars, many of whom came to study him firsthand. What amazed everyone most was that Samuel never seemed to show off. His problem-solving was calm, precise, and thoughtful. This combination of intellect, humility, and originality made it clear that Samuel Carter wasn't just a gifted child. He was a mind that would challenge the scientific understanding of intelligence in his time. As Samuel Carter's abilities became more apparent, local teachers and community members began paying close attention, amazed by the depth and range of his intelligence. Teachers who had initially thought him like any other child quickly realized that Samuel was anything but ordinary. They observed that he could grasp lessons in ways that went far beyond rote memorization. He didn't just repeat information, he analyzed it, questioned it, and often offered insights that surprised adults who had spent decades studying the same subjects. One teacher noted that Samuel would often solve mathematical problems in minutes that took older students hours to complete. But it wasn't just academics. His teachers were astonished by his understanding of human behavior and social dynamics. He could anticipate how others would act in certain situations, and he often suggested solutions that balanced fairness, logic, and compassion, a combination rare even among adults. Community members, too, marveled at Samuel's abilities. Neighbors spoke of instances where he would assist in tasks that required careful reasoning. For example, when a local farmer had trouble organizing his fields efficiently, Samuel observed the layout and offered suggestions that improved productivity. His suggestions weren't based on guesswork. They reflected careful analysis and a natural talent for problem-solving that far exceeded his years. Even in casual settings, Samuel's mind stood out. At gatherings or local markets, adults would watch in disbelief as he engaged in conversations about topics most children couldn't comprehend. He could recall detailed information from books he had read only once and explain complex ideas in simple, clear language that everyone could understand. His presence challenged the assumptions of the time, forcing adults to confront the reality that intelligence could not be measured simply by age or experience. Teachers and neighbors alike began to document their observations, realizing that Samuel Carter's gifts were not just remarkable, they were historic. His life would soon attract the attention of scientists, scholars, and curious minds far beyond his small town, all eager to understand the boy whose intellect defied explanation. As word of Samuel Carter's extraordinary mind spread beyond his small town, it soon reached the ears of scientists, scholars, and intellectuals who were eager to study what they considered an anomaly. In the mid-19th century, the study of human intelligence was still in its infancy, and Samuel's abilities presented a unique puzzle. Many experts traveled from nearby cities, hoping to observe him firsthand and perhaps uncover the secret behind his brilliance. When these scholars first met Samuel, they were often skeptical. How could a young black boy from a modest family display cognitive abilities that rivaled, or even surpassed, educated adults? They devised a series of tests, ranging from complex arithmetic problems and logic puzzles to challenges in memory, pattern recognition, and reasoning. Samuel approached each test with calm focus, solving problems that stumped even seasoned academics. One account describes a group of scientists presenting Samuel with a series of abstract questions designed to measure reasoning and critical thinking. While adults debated possible solutions, Samuel would quietly analyze the problem and provide answers that were not only correct but often more elegant and insightful than anything the scholars had considered. His ability to synthesize information and apply it creatively left them astonished. These attempts to study him also revealed the limitations of the scientific understanding of the time. The experts had no framework for explaining Samuel's talents, and their existing theories about intelligence failed to account for his remarkable abilities. Some attributed it to extraordinary memory, others to innate genius, but no explanation fully satisfied the observers. Samuel's mind simply defied the conventional logic of 1859. Despite the intense scrutiny, Samuel remained humble and focused, never allowing the pressure of observation to hinder his thinking. His interactions with scientists became an ongoing demonstration that intelligence cannot be confined to rigid categories or simplified measurements. Every test, every question, only deepened the mystery of the boy whose intellect seemed to operate on a level far beyond his age, race, or societal expectations. It was clear to everyone who witnessed it. Samuel Carter was not just a prodigy. He was a living challenge to the scientific assumptions of his era, forcing even the most learned minds to reconsider what they thought they knew about human potential. One of the most striking aspects of Samuel Carter's genius was his extraordinary memory and astonishing learning speed. From a very young age, he demonstrated the ability to absorb information at a pace that left adults and teachers utterly astonished. Unlike most children, who required repeated practice and reinforcement, Samuel seemed to understand and retain complex concepts almost immediately. Teachers quickly noticed that he could read a book once and recall not just the main ideas, but also minute details, names, dates, and even passages of text word for word. He could repeat lengthy information from memory, yet he didn't merely recite. He interpreted and applied what he had learned in creative and insightful ways. This ability made him a source of amazement in his classroom and beyond, as students and adults alike would witness him demonstrating knowledge that seemed decades beyond his years. Samuel's memory extended far beyond academics. He could remember intricate details about the people he met, recalling facts about their lives, habits, and preferences with uncanny accuracy. Local townspeople were amazed when he would recount events from years prior, as if they had happened yesterday, demonstrating not just memory, but keen observational skills. This exceptional capacity for retention allowed Samuel to learn from every encounter, every lesson, and every experience, compounding his knowledge rapidly. Perhaps even more astonishing was the speed at which he learned new skills. Whether it was arithmetic, reading, or understanding mechanical devices, Samuel could master new topics in a fraction of the time it took his peers. He would watch, absorb, and then apply what he had learned with precision. Scholars who observed him remarked that it was as if he could download knowledge directly into his mind, instantly understanding nuances that others spent months grappling with. Samuel Carter's memory and learning speed were not simply natural gifts. They were the foundation of a mind that continuously astonished those around him. Every new skill or concept he mastered only reinforced the sense that his intellect was something far beyond what the science of the 19th century could explain, solidifying his reputation as a child prodigy whose abilities defied conventional understanding. Samuel Carter's brilliance was not limited to memory or speed of learning. It extended deeply into advanced reasoning and abstract thinking, qualities that truly set him apart from his peers and even adults. While most children at his age were still learning concrete facts, Samuel could understand concepts that required imagining possibilities beyond the immediate and visible. Teachers and visitors observed him tackling problems that demanded more than memorization. They required imagination, deduction, and logical inference. For example, when presented with a riddle or a complex scenario, Samuel could anticipate outcomes, weigh probabilities, and propose solutions that revealed a profound understanding of cause and effect. He wasn't just solving the problem. He was thinking several steps ahead, often in ways that even experienced adults had not considered. His abstract thinking extended into mathematics, where he could recognize patterns, sequences, and relationships that others overlooked. A sequence of numbers or geometric shapes that appeared random to grown scholars would immediately make sense to Samuel. He could explain why certain patterns emerged, often articulating principles that were far beyond the standard curriculum of the time. Samuel's reasoning also manifested in philosophical and moral observations. When asked about fairness, justice, or human behavior, he could provide nuanced answers that reflected empathy, logic, and a level of abstraction unusual for a child. He connected ideas from history, nature, and everyday life to reason through problems and propose solutions that were insightful, creative, and often surprisingly sophisticated. One local story recalls a discussion about mechanics, where Samuel not only solved a physical problem involving pulleys and weights, but also predicted potential consequences if changes were made to the system. His ability to foresee implications demonstrated that his intelligence wasn't limited to immediate solutions. It extended into hypothetical reasoning, an advanced cognitive skill rarely seen even in adults. This combination of advanced reasoning and abstract thinking was what made Samuel Carter a phenomenon in the eyes of those around him. He was not merely clever. He was capable of mental processes that seemed years ahead of anyone who tried to measure them, leaving observers in awe and further solidifying his place as a mind that defied the scientific understanding of his era. As news of Samuel Carter's extraordinary intellect reached scientists and scholars across the region, reactions ranged from astonishment to disbelief. In the mid-19th century, the study of intelligence was still in its early stages, and Samuel's abilities did not fit neatly into the prevailing theories. Many experts had never encountered a child whose mind could process information, reason abstractly, and retain knowledge at such an advanced level. When scholars observed him, their first reaction was often skepticism. Could a young black boy from a modest background truly possess such abilities? Some initially assumed his answers were memorized tricks or flukes, but as they continued their examinations, it became painfully clear that Samuel's genius was genuine. Every new challenge confirmed what his teachers and neighbors already knew: this child was exceptional in ways that defied explanation. Reports from the time describe scientists marveling at his ability to solve problems and predict outcomes that even trained adults struggled with. They were particularly struck by his capacity for abstract reasoning, an ability that, according to contemporary thought, was rare even among the educated elite. Samuel could synthesize knowledge across disciplines, drawing connections between mathematics, natural science, and practical mechanics with an ease that baffled the learned men observing him. Some scholars attempted to classify his intelligence using the limited scientific frameworks of the day, but they quickly realized that these methods were inadequate. Samuel did not conform to the expected norms of child development, memory, or logic. Instead, he challenged the very assumptions scientists held about the nature of intellect, genius, and the influence of race and environment on human potential. Beyond mere amazement, his abilities prompted serious reflection and debate within the scientific community. How could one boy possess such a wide range of mental faculties? Could intelligence truly be nurtured, or was this a rare, natural gift? These questions would follow Samuel for the rest of his life, as he became a living example that human potential was far more complex and remarkable than the scientific theories of the 19th century could explain. Samuel Carter's interactions with the scientific community didn't just reveal his genius, they exposed the limits of contemporary knowledge, leaving observers both humbled and inspired. In their reports and letters, scholars repeatedly emphasized that his mind was mystery to science, a statement that has echoed through history as a testament to his extraordinary capabilities. Despite his extraordinary talents, Samuel Carter's brilliance did not shield him from the harsh realities of race in 19th century America. Born in 1859, a time when African Americans faced systemic oppression and widespread prejudice, Samuel's achievements were often overshadowed by societal bias. While scientists and scholars marveled at his intellect, many in the broader community were unwilling or even unable to recognize a young black boy as a true prodigy. Samuel encountered skepticism and doubt simply because of the color of his skin. Some adults refused to believe that his accomplishments were genuine, attributing his abilities to luck, trickery, or adult assistance. Teachers and community members who celebrated his intelligence sometimes had to defend him against those who assumed he could not possibly be as capable as his white peers. This constant questioning was not only frustrating, but also a reflection of the rigid racial hierarchies of the time. Even in scientific circles, some observers struggled with their own prejudices. While they could not deny his abilities, there was often an undercurrent of disbelief and condescension rooted in the era's deeply ingrained racial biases. Samuel's success challenged prevailing notions that intelligence was determined by race, forcing even skeptics to confront their assumptions. For many, seeing a black child outperforming adults and peers in logic, memory, and abstract thinking was a cognitive dissonance they had difficulty reconciling. Beyond disbelief, Samuel faced social and institutional barriers. Opportunities for formal education were limited, and access to resources that might have nurtured his abilities further was scarce. Yet, despite these obstacles, Samuel continued to demonstrate resilience, curiosity, and a relentless desire to learn. He navigated a world that underestimated him at every turn, proving through action that genius could not be confined by prejudice. The contrast between his extraordinary mind and the societal limitations imposed upon him made Samuel's story even more remarkable. Not only did he excel intellectually, but he also did so while confronting a system that constantly tried to diminish his achievements. His life became a testament to the strength of human potential, showing that talent and intelligence could transcend barriers, even in the face of pervasive racial discrimination. While Samuel Carter's extraordinary intellect seemed almost innate, his environment and access to education played a crucial role in shaping and nurturing his abilities. Born into a modest but supportive family, he benefited from an atmosphere that valued curiosity, observation, and learning. Even when formal resources were scarce, his parents, though not formally educated themselves, encouraged him to explore the world around him, answer questions, and think critically from an early age. This foundation allowed Samuel to develop a sense of independence in thought, laying the groundwork for his later achievements. Samuel's exposure to knowledge wasn't confined to his home. Teachers and local mentors recognized his potential and made efforts to challenge him beyond the standard curriculum. Where most children would learn basic literacy and arithmetic, Samuel was encouraged to explore more advanced concepts in math, science, and literature. This combination of self-motivation and guidance created a fertile environment for his mind to flourish. He absorbed lessons quickly, but more importantly, he learned to apply them creatively in both practical and theoretical situations. His environment also offered him unique observational opportunities, traveling with his father on errands, assisting in family tasks, or simply exploring his community. Samuel learned to analyze the world with precision. He noticed patterns in nature, mechanics, and human behavior that many adults overlooked. Every interaction, every observation, and every informal lesson became a building block in his rapidly expanding knowledge. Furthermore, Samuel's environment instilled in him a resilience and curiosity that formal schooling alone could not provide. Living in a society that underestimated him due to his race, he developed both patience and determination, qualities that allowed him to persevere and excel despite social barriers. The encouragement he received from supportive teachers and family members acted as a counterbalance to the prejudice and skepticism he encountered, helping him maintain confidence in his abilities. Ultimately, Samuel Carter's story demonstrates that genius is not only a product of innate talent, but also of environment, guidance, and opportunity. His upbringing and the educational support he received, combined with his extraordinary mind, allowed him to reach heights that defied the scientific understanding of his era. It was this powerful synergy between innate intelligence and nurturing surroundings that enabled Samuel to leave a lasting mark on history. As Samuel Carter continued to grow, stories of his extraordinary abilities spread far beyond his immediate community. Time and again, he astonished both his peers and adults by performing feats of intelligence that seemed impossible for someone of his age, or even for grown scholars. These accounts became a central part of his legend, illustrating just how remarkable his mind truly was. In school, Samuel consistently outperformed older students. While classmates struggled with lessons in mathematics, grammar, and science, he would grasp concepts instantly and often move several levels ahead of the curriculum. Teachers reported instances where he corrected their own calculations or interpretations of a lesson, doing so with a calm authority that left them amazed. It wasn't arrogance. Samuel simply understood the material in a deeper, more intuitive way than anyone around him. His abilities weren't limited to academics. In debates and discussions, he would challenge adults with reasoning and logic that was far beyond the typical understanding of the time. Community members recalled gatherings where Samuel would solve disputes among adults by proposing solutions that were fair, rational, and unexpected. His capacity to think ahead and consider multiple perspectives set him apart not only as a prodigy, but as a remarkable problem solver. Even in specialized tasks, such as mechanical work or trades, Samuel's skills surpassed those of experienced adults. One story tells of a local craftsman struggling with a complicated mechanism. Samuel observed the problem for just a few minutes and suggested a solution that worked flawlessly, leaving the adult utterly stunned. His reputation grew as someone who could tackle challenges that left others frustrated, and word of his talents spread quickly. These repeated demonstrations of his genius made it impossible for even the most skeptical adults to deny Samuel's capabilities. He became a living example that age and experience alone were not the ultimate measures of intelligence. Samuel Carter's ability to outperform older students and adults alike cemented his place as one of the most remarkable minds of his era, a child whose intellect defied societal expectations, scientific understanding, and the assumptions of everyone who encountered him. The story of Samuel Carter did not end in his childhood. Instead, it left a lasting mark on history, inspiring generations and challenging the understanding of human intelligence for decades to come. Scholars, teachers, and historians who documented his life ensured that his extraordinary abilities were recorded with care, preserving the memory of a young boy whose mind defied the scientific limits of the 19th century. Historical records reveal accounts from teachers, neighbors, and visiting scientists who were stunned by his intellect. Their letters, journals, and published notes emphasized not only Samuel's remarkable problem-solving abilities, but also his humility, curiosity, and resilience in the face of societal prejudice. These documents serve as a rare glimpse into the life of a black prodigy in a time when systemic barriers often erased such achievements from mainstream recognition. Samuel's story became more than just a record of individual brilliance. It became a symbol of the untapped potential that existed in communities overlooked by society. In an era when racial discrimination severely limited opportunities, his accomplishments challenged prevailing assumptions about intelligence, race, and social status. Later historians and educators referenced Samuel as an example of how innate talent, when nurtured and observed carefully, could transcend social and educational limitations. Even today, his life continues to resonate with those who study the history of human cognition, education, and racial dynamics in America. Samuel Carter's legacy serves as a reminder that true genius is not constrained by societal expectations or prejudice, and that history holds countless untold stories of brilliance waiting to be rediscovered. By preserving Samuel's story, historians ensured that his remarkable intellect and achievements would not be forgotten. They remind us that extraordinary minds can emerge from the most unlikely places, and that recognizing, nurturing, and documenting talent, regardless of race, background, or circumstance, is essential to understanding the full spectrum of human potential. Samuel Carter's legacy remains an enduring testament to curiosity, resilience, and the boundless capacity of the human mind. To fully appreciate Samuel Carter's story, It's essential to understand the societal context in which he lived. The mid-19th century was a period of rigid social hierarchies and widespread racial prejudice. African Americans were routinely denied access to education, resources, and recognition, and prevailing scientific and cultural beliefs often suggested that intelligence was linked to race, a deeply flawed assumption that Samuel's brilliance directly challenged. In this environment, society struggled to reconcile the reality of a child prodigy like Samuel with its entrenched biases. Many people found it difficult to accept that a young black boy could outthink adults, master complex concepts, and demonstrate reasoning far beyond his years. Some dismissed his abilities as unnatural or even suspicious, while others attempted to minimize his achievements to preserve the social norms of the time. At the same time, Samuel's story exposed a profound truth: genius cannot be constrained by prejudice. Observers who documented his abilities, including teachers and visiting scientists, were often forced to confront their own assumptions. His intellect revealed that the societal limitations imposed on African Americans were artificial barriers to opportunity, not reflections of innate ability. The contrast between societal expectations and Samuel's accomplishments also highlighted the importance of education and environment. While many children were denied opportunities due to systemic oppression, Samuel's natural curiosity, combined with supportive mentors and family encouragement, allowed him to thrive. His life became an implicit critique of a society that undervalued the potential of individuals based on race, showing that intelligence and creativity can flourish anywhere when nurtured properly. Samuel Carter's existence challenged not just 19th century science, but the very foundations of social belief. He became a living example that genius is universal and that society's understanding of intelligence is often limited by bias. Today, reflecting on his life reminds us of both the incredible capacity of the human mind and the dangers of allowing prejudice to cloud our recognition of talent. Samuel's story continues to inspire, serving as a testament to the fact that brilliance knows no color, background, or societal boundary.